That Show, starring Joan Rivers. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Joan.
Thank you. Nice seeing you. Today we're going to be discussing traveling by car with your family and tips on traveling. And we have with us Joe Niland and Eddie Bracken. And how many of you travel by car? Yeah. No, all of us. No, I don't mean like to and from the studio. I mean like travel, you know? Because like Edgar and I travel out. We go like all over. We take the kid, we throw him in the, rumble seat or whatever you call it. And we go, and that's why we belong to the AAAAAA, which is a great organization for people that drink and drive. Get it? Traveler. I read the map, but I can't read a map. I can't unfold a map, but then I can't read it. And you know when you feel like you're lost, you're reading the dumb map? You know what lost is? When you think you're in Kansas and you ask a guy who's a lobster fisherman for direction. That's when you're lost, And traveling by car, for those of you that are all raised here, is very tricky because, they watch the police. They really do for out-of-town licenses. You know that, right? They never stop their own, the police. And I was traveling through Oklahoma, and I got 3 tickets for speeding. 3! And I was in a train. We're married now 3.5 years and so far, thank goodness. Good. But we got very settled, and we're always going the same place. You can laugh. You don't be ashamed. She's laughing, going, maybe I shouldn't. But Edgar and I, we always go to the same place vacation. And finally I said to him, look, Edgar, for goodness sakes, this year, let's go someplace different. And he said, great. So he went to California, and I went to Florida. But, moving along, because I hated the joke, briskly, I wanted to go someplace. I'm sick of the same old thing. So I went to a travel agency, and I said, I want to go someplace exotic. I'm going to go where there are voodoo dances, wild women, strange, mysterious rites. So he put me on the bus to 42nd Street. But this one is a loser. The next joke is the kid was crying and I was writing it, and it's not funny. So out of pity for a mother, get ready. On closing, see, I have tips for people who can't afford to take a long trip. You know how you can pretend you're somewhere you're not? Get in your car, drive to Howard Johnson's. You can be anywhere in America. To discuss traveling tips with your family in a car, we went and found the supervisor of the telephone travel operation of the Auto Club of New York, and I'd love to see a stationery with that on it, Mr. Joe Niland.
Very nice to meet you.
It's always nice when you have a movie star on, and we have a movie star and television star and Broadway star who's currently in I Can't Hear You Now. I Can't Hear You When the Water's Running. I never can remember the name of that. Mr. Eddie Bracken.
Well, it's been nice to be here. Thank you very much.
He saw the show with Georgie Jessel. When he walked off, he didn't mean any harm, Mr. Jessel. Just his watch said 2 minutes past the Jew, and he had to go. But everything was Jewish. Do you travel with you have a daughter I met who's beautiful.
I have 5 children.
5? You only brought one to my club then.
I did it the hard way, too, one wife.
5 years. That's not the Hollywood way. But did you ever travel by car with them?
No.
You're smart.
No.
Did you ever travel by 2 cars?
I'm teasing you, as you know. I told you I was going to do that to you. I just wanted to. We travel an awful lot, especially. My career actually has been traveling. I'm now playing. I think it's my 5,600th and somewhere in the 20 performances without ever missing a show. Ooh. And if you add it up... Well, actually, there are 418 shows you do a year with matinees on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
If you add that up, that's an awful lot of years. And most of the time, it's been on the road. And we travel every which way. And packing to me has been a cinch because I have everything completely planned. I've done it so often. Until this past year when I went out on the road and my daughter was playing in the show with me, and my wife was the understudy of the leading lady. So I had the two women with me for the first time. Never do this. Oh.
That's true.
I could have opened my own bag, and people would have thought I was in the millinery business, you know, selling dresses and bras and things of that nature.
Is it harder for women to travel, Mr. Niland? Do you find that?
No, actually, women have, I don't know whether the statistics are true or not, but they have a better safety record as far as travel is concerned. But usually women don't go on long trips by themselves. It's usually family vacation, 1 or 2 weeks, whatever.
Somebody just laughed. They're trips and trips. Those are high school kids. But we're talking about like, no, a trip, no. And they shouldn't. And they should only know about good trips. But we'll discuss that during commercial. But I want to ask you, like, when you do go on a trip, like you say, you know where everything is. I'm like a lousy traveler, and you gave one tip, which I thought was great. When you're going by car, you should put the things you don't want in the big suitcase.
Well, I think half of enjoying yourself on a trip is to take a large suitcase and put it in the luggage compartment of the car. And on top of it, put an overnight valise where you can, if you stop at a motel, you take the 2 bags in and just use the small one with the essentials in it.
Absolutely.
You should take in the big valise, too.
Oh, there's always
Do you
something.
take luggage
There's
out of
always
the car?
something on
No,
the bottom.
sometimes you don't have to. I agree with them 100% on that one. The smaller bag is, if you're going to stay for 2 or 3 days in one place, you've got it all in the small bag, and it's all packed just like the big one is, only with all the essentials that you need. One time I was coming on a trip by car, and you forget things at times, you know. Do you ever do that?
Ever. I don't even know I'm here. That's cool.
Well, one time we had the car all packed, and I you know, going over to see whether or not I forgot anything, you know. And we're taking the family to, I forget where it was, but anyway, I got about 25 miles out of town, and I'm trying to figure out all the things I might have forgotten. I realized I forgot my family.
You're kidding. Yeah. Now, how do you, all right, besides your family, how do you remember everything? What do you suggest?
Well, there's certain essentials that you should always bring with you, particularly on a vacation trip. If you have children, the main thing is that first aid cabinet in the glove compartment, because that always seems to be very handy. And it's always wise to check to make sure your automobile policy is paid up. And if you're a member of the Auto Club in New York or your local automobile club, have your card in case you have a breakdown on the road. Credit cards always come in handy. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have an honest face.
But I still think a good credit card.
Yes. And along with that, you should have the car in good shape and make sure the brakes are functioning properly, the steering mechanism of the car is working well. You should have it tuned up and lubricated before you start on a long trip. And it's packing the car is makes
worst.
the trip a lot better if you have it packed properly.
Don't you find trouble with that? You know, you hate the trip from the minute you got 44 suitcases and you got one little thing and they're putting them in and they don't fit in, and then you take them out and you try them again, and by the time you're starting the trip, you're so frustrated and so upset. You know, I would usually put the suitcase in the back of the car and the 6 of us sit in the front seat. You know, just,
Well, of course, it's
just
not,
going across America. Come on in.
it's not a good idea to have the children playing Monopoly where the boardwalk ends out in the front seat or
Yes.
something like that.
You know what I hate, and I'm sure you do it, as all women do, and I can't stand it, is when the husband goes out and he packs the car exactly right, and he's got everything in the place, and the wife comes out and thinks it's all wrong, and she wants to get one little bag in, and she ruins the whole thing, and you have to start all over again. By that time,
You're ready to kill.
I don't know why we go on a trip anyway.
I want to ask you another
I'm
thing.
with you.
No, I think going by car is great. There's only one thing, and again, this goes back into touring, and it wasn't in any of the interviews that you gave. I wash my own laundry every night, and when you travel on the road and you've got your bra and your panties, they are never dry in the morning.
I noticed that.
Yes. What's the solution? And when you drive along, you're like, you know, I used to like hang them up in the car on a hanger, which is quite effective. You know, you pull in, give me 2 gallons of gas, and the guy's bringing the pants. You know, it's a Tuesday.
It takes
you know?
so much.
There's just no, you know.
It takes longer for the falsies to dry, too.
Yes, I wouldn't know. But
I'd say
laundry.
wash and wear items are tremendous to bring with you. And in bringing a wardrobe along with you, you should take a couple basic colors and a lot of blending tones where you don't get mixed up with that 3rd and 4th and 5th suitcase.
You know what else you suggested, Mr. Niland, which is a great idea, which I never thought of? He said when you take a trip, like to a national park or a specific kind of trip, you should plan it, and you can go to the AAA, which I want to show, the thing you brought, to go one way and come back a different route. Now, how many people have ever done that? Usually you say, well, I'll go on U.S. so-and-so, you know. And I think it's a great idea. They plan it round, so you make like a circle. And show us the triptych, which I think is...
Well,
this is the AAA gives us out.
This is an exclusive map that's prepared by the American Automobile Association.
Do you know about these? These are marvelous.
Yeah.
You tell them where you want to go.
Well, let's hope it's Washington, because that's where this map is to.
Then let's hope you're a Republican.
This is the trip to Washington, D.C., and it starts from the Lincoln Tunnel. And in the front section of the map, there's an overall map to show you how to get out of the city, no matter where you are in the metropolitan area.
How to get out of what city? This one?
This
starts from New York.
You can't get there from here.
Well, this trip starts from New York, from the Lincoln Tunnel. And the first map shows the New Jersey Turnpike. It indicates any construction that's along the way. It indicates the direction of travel with an arrow. There's mileage information on the side of the map. And there's information on the back of each map as to where you can stay or where the service stations nearby.
Yeah. We'll be back after the commercial to find out how you can plan ahead and where you should stay. We're back talking with Eddie Bracken, star of You Know I Can't Hear You When the Water's Running, and Mr. Joan Niland, and we're talking about traveling. Can I ask you something? I'm sure you find this when you're on the road, except that you plan ahead. You don't know where to stop. You said, we're driving, when we come to a nice place, we'll stop. Is that how you work it, or do you make reservations?
No, we do exactly what he is telling you here. We definitely go through the AAA and watch. We know what motels we're stopping at all the way down the line. As a matter of fact, if it isn't recommended by the AAA, we don't go into it at all.
So what should you do? In other words, when you're going out of town, you look up in the back and then you ride ahead?
I would say the wise thing to do, particularly if you're traveling in season, to make your reservations far in advance. And if for any reason you think you might be late, call the establishment, advise them you're on the road, that you'll be there shortly. And when you pick out an establishment in advance where you want to stay, make sure that it's exactly to your budget and your taste. So decide whether you want American plan with
Which
meals.
Is what? Oh, that's with meals.
That's with meals. So modified American.
I hate those.
I always get confused too.
Except American plans with meals, I never stop eating because you figure I paid for it. Give me. You know, you hand them back the menu, you say yes. You know, but that's you figure what I gave him $12. Give it to me. That's but.
Most American families, though, when they travel on long vacations, they want that overnight spot where they stop over early in the day. They'll do it spontaneous. Here's a nice-looking place. So it's wise to look for the AAA emblem. I'm really selling my product, but it's a tremendous assurance.
Well, as a matter of fact, I have no axe to grind here, and I think that anybody that goes on the trip that isn't part of the AAA, they'd be out of their minds, because when things go wrong with the car, if you have an accident of any kind or a tire goes kaflooey, there's an office very close that's not too far that will come and take care of it. They'll pick up the car and bring it in, fix it up. And
there's always a phone number to call 24 hours
it's really fabulous. It's better than any insurance as far as I'm concerned. So I have no axe to grind, I'm telling you, but I'm with you 100%.
Well, we have tour books, Joan. This particular one is on the Middle East and part of the United States.
Now, what does that show? You brought us a map. Now, what are those, like the major places to visit when you live in certain areas?
Right, I just outlined some of the major points of interest in the United States.
For example, like from New York, if you wanted to take a 4-day trip with children, let's just cover the different parts of the country quickly.
Okay.
You know, we don't have to dwell.
This looks like the George Jessel routine he's going to do here.
That's I've covered these countries in 107 years.
I'll start off up in New England, right up in Bar Harbor, Maine, Arcadia National Park.
So from New York, that'd be like a nice trip to go up there.
Absolutely. This is fine for the 1-week vacation in the summertime. Make this your destination and a circle trip, perhaps through New Hampshire to the White Mountains,
which is beautiful.
Which is filled with lakes, beautiful. Establishments where you can stay overnight.
Do you recommend this summer and winter both, or what?
Well, at one time it was exclusively a summer trip, but now with all the skiing going on, this is a skier's haven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it seems as though the good old summertime is dwindling into a 52-week year travel business.
What's the big thing you circled in the Midwest? You see, there's a great big, come over.
In the Midwest?
Yes, right there.
Well, this is
What's that?
Around the Rapid City, the monuments, of course, to the presidents.
The faces.
That's right. The Black Hills. The Black Hills.
She must have money in that picture.
The Black Hills. It's strange we jumped so fast out there.
Because I want to just get like the major things and all, What about in the West? Then we can come back again, Mr. Niland, but I just want to
Fine. This area, of course,
What's that?
Is Yellowstone National Park with Grand Teton National Park just below it.
Have you ever gone to there, Eddie?
Yes, I've been all over the country.
This is a tremendous area to go with the family.
I don't think there is a circle that I haven't been in. As a matter of fact, a lot more of them.
Well, this is terrific for camping and trailering with the family.
My hairdresser
He
goes
has nothing on Jesse James and all the wonderful things, You're in Missouri. I don't see any
Missouri?
of those circles.
What is that? What is that? That's the Jesse James country?
Missouri, I tell you, there's so many...
Isn't that great? He doesn't know where Missouri is? I don't either. I'm so glad you've got the pointer.
Well, Harry S. Truman's library is down there. I was going to mention that first.
And Independence.
What about let's go down into Texas. What have you got circled there? Lucy Bird's house?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes. The LBJ Ranch right near Johnson City.
LBJ Ranch?
Of course, the cookouts, I think, are limited to certain groups,
yeah.
but
you can stand at the gate and look in.
Yeah, or look under the fence. But San Antonio, the Alamo, of course, and in Houston, Texas, where the Astrodome and the Space Center is. Yeah. And it's possible to visit the Space Center down in Houston.
You can actually go through, like, tours?
Oh, yeah.
Now, how do you find these things out? Like, did you know that you can go through somebody's going, yes. But, I mean, I don't know half the things that you're allowed to go into to see.
Well, of course, this is outlined in the tour books that's provided by the Automobile Club.
So, in other words, like, if you say, I want to get in the car with my family and drive through the Midwest, send for the tour book and see what's doing and then plan it from there, kind of?
Absolutely. You could call on the telephone, and as long as you remember, we planned the trip. And we'll talk to you how much time you have, which is something that everybody seems to forget. Yeah. Everybody has enough time. Like one time I planned a trip for 2 women. It was about 2,000 miles. They had 3 days. And then I said, oh, my goodness, you don't have enough time. They said, well, we have 2 cars.
We'll go out on that laugh. That's very funny. We're back talking with Joe Niland and Eddie Bracken, and before I go into the audience for questions, I just want to ask you, you said that you don't travel because you would like go ahead to jobs, but your wife would go across country?
Well, I've traveled with them many, many times, but my wife traveled across the country with them a few times, and it is extremely important to have it planned that you have many games and guessing games and things of that nature that will interest the children, because when they get bored, it can be terrible.
A friend of mine plays Count the Volkswagens. And she's got her little girl who's 6 years old, because everything you look, it's a Volkswagen. And the kid is going like 127. She says, stop it, Elizabeth, we're there. But she doesn't know she's so punchy. 172.
Start counting Alaska license plates.
Start counting Alaska license plates.
And the ABCs by the license plate. You start off with A's and you try to hit Z first, and that's a fun game, because I used to have fun doing that. I used to run into the Z's,
What about when women travel alone, Mr. Niland? Is there anything they should do specially?
Well,
besides wearing a sign saying alone?
Especially with a woman traveling
One pedestrians,
alone.
That's all.
Especially with a woman traveling alone, she should make a reservation in advance, or at least stop over early.
Absolutely.
And if something should happen on the road...
keep the doors locked.
Yes,
well,
yes.
Yes, but wave a little white handkerchief or something from a radio antenna or the door handle, because it's a signal to motorists going by to advise them that somebody is in distress or somebody
Can I ask
needs
you,
help.
You keep saying stop early. What do you call like an average day that you can drive that you wouldn't be fatigued? If you are planning a trip, what do you think like an average driving day should consist of? How many miles?
Well, you shouldn't travel more than 300 miles a day. It wouldn't be advisable. And you can expect to travel 100 miles in 2.5 hours. This is counting stop-offs and what have you. This is if you're traveling with your family. You shouldn't plan to do any more than that.
Yeah, let me go in the audience. Anybody got any questions? Questions from the audience? Hands up, Americans! Hands up. Yes, she's a nice girl in a snappy outfit, yes.
Thank you. Could you tell me what type of a trip do you suggest for a single girl?
Down the aisle. That's awesome. What type of trip do you suggest for a single girl?
Well, there's certain areas, there's certain sports that cater to the younger group, like skiing. And of course, if you go to any of the ski centers in New England or out in California, Nevada, you should have run into a younger group. And I think that's what the type of a trip that you'd enjoy
A
most.
trip to West Point?
And New Orleans.
New Orleans for single girls?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's interesting. Next questions? Let me get closer to the... here. Yes, closer to the aisle.
Where do you like to vacation most?
Me? Jamaica. Jamaica, Long Island, you get in the car. No, we don't take... when we do travel, we travel to California and we drive there, which is nice. One more question as I'm running upstairs? Yes.
Do a lot of trucks outside of a diner mean good food?
Do a lot of trucks outside of a diner mean good food? You always hear this. Means a sexy waitress, I'll tell you that.
I think I can answer that one, and that's ridiculous.
All right.
I think that people's stomachs and taste completely differ, and I've stopped in places where there were trucks outside because I heard this thing and the food was horrible.
But did you see what's driving the truck? Yeah, but you never know. It's so hard. You don't know, when they ask, stop here, stop there. That's why it's good, to stay
It's
with...
an indication that a place is open all night. Yeah.
Oh, when you see the trucks.
Yeah.
All right, so when you follow
That's
the trucks.
why these things are good.
I want to thank Mr. Eddie Bracken, and I want to thank Joan Niland very much, and it was just delightful talking with you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, will you come back?
Oh, anytime.
Will you drive back?
If you'd like to see the show when you're in New York, write Joan Rivers tickets, Box 850, Radio City Station, New York, 10019. Miss Rivers' guests stay at the Hotel Commodore while in New York.